Manningham on the Yarra, A Paddle Down the Birrarung by Ian Beasley, paddler.
Our journey begins at Mount Lofty. Surprisingly, there is a group of 3 or 4 people standing knee-deep in the middle of the Yarra. They are studying its rapids. The river forms many rapids as it falls and carves its way to Melbourne and Port Phillip. Many are simply a ripple, easy to negotiate. A bigger challenge, and sometimes a threat, are clusters of jagged rocks changing character with changing water levels. Some have names. Bob's Rock is a drop over a rock ledge. The Island Rapid has strong currents with pressure waves, and the Bender Viles zigzags over a rock shelf covered in native grasses.
Wonga Park.
Putting in at Lower Homestead Road, flanking Mount Lofty, is easy. The water is flat as the current directs you downstream. This is the eastern boundary of Manningham and entry to the Warrandyte State Park. Passing through Manningham for around 60 kilometres, community groups, schools, canoe clubs and individuals take to the river in canoes, kayaks and inflatables. Not far from the city, but secluded amongst eucalypt and wattle forests, the river narrows and widens as it runs onward. Along its passage are the Yarra Valley Parklands, a series of parks connected by trails, wetlands and waterways. The Victorian Wildwater Championships are held on this first stretch, and downstream at Jumping Creek Reserve, wildwater paddlers in training race to Warrandyte. The unusual-looking kayaks with wings that serve no purpose tell you that it is a wildwater event. They race on fast-moving water through the rapids.
Warrandyte.
An approaching bridge signals a village on River Left. Renowned for its specialist arts and crafts shops, it is a frequent stopover. The steel girder bridge was constructed in 1952 and is the centre of Warrandyte village. 2 kilometres on, at Pound Bend, gold miners constructed a tunnel to divert the river and search for gold trapped in the riverbed. Not much was found, so the company wound up in 1872. 16 years later, the Melbourne Water Power Company considered using the Pound Bend tunnel to generate electricity, but it was just a thought. The native forests of Warrandyte State Park, creating new awareness, opens to parks and farming. Manna gums and silver wattles continue to dominate river verges to provide critical habitat for birds such as kingfishers, robins and powerful owls. Long ribbons of bark, tangled and twisted, hang from the gum's branches. In late spring, the wattles produce clouds of fragrant flowers to drape the banks in yellow and delight the eye. Some trees have collapsed into the water to create fish habitat. There are redfin, Macquarie perch and Murray cod. At home along its banks are wombats, echidnas, kangaroos and wallabies. In a tantalising but unwanted surprise, paddlers may come across a tiger snake, propelled by serpentine locomotion as it moves across the water.
Tikalara.
The Yarra is not just for paddlers. Walkers, hikers, runners and cyclists make their way along the many tracks following the river. The most important of these is the main Yarra Trail, tracing the river from Melbourne out to Nillumbik Creek. It passes by Pontville Homestead, built in the 1840s, and Petty's Orchard, one of our oldest orchards. The orchard has more than 250 varieties of old and rare apples, as well as collections of other fruits such as plums, apricots, pears, and medlars.
Candlebark Park.
In the distance, there is yelling, a fast, iterative up, 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 up. Brightly striped red and green poles come into view. They mark a canoe slalom course, luring paddlers and spectators to stop and enjoy the competition. Candlebark Park is home to canoe slalom in Victoria and a career start for many Australian champions. Just yesterday, when the river was low, several paddlers were standing in the river, looking at the rapids, learning about the flow of water, learning about the formation of eddies.
Westerfolds Park.
Under Fitzsimon's Lane Bridge and onto Westerfolds Park, school groups play canoe polo with inflatable gulls sitting on the water. A kilometre or so on, a wire rope suspension bridge forms a catenary curve across the river. its timber frame taking pedestrians across the river to Finn's Reserve and the Wombat Bend Playground alongside Ruffy Creek, home to platypus. There is a newly constructed canoe launching area at the river's edge. The river continues downstream, coming across sprint and marathon kayakers putting in long distances. Just opposite the confluence of the Plenty River with the Yarra is Birrarung Park. Classified as riparian floodplain woodland, it features river red gum and ephemeral wetlands, occasionally drying out completely, but returning with rain to trigger rapid increases in frog and bird numbers.
Heidi.
Look river left, up the hill and over Kitchen Gardens to glimpse the Pont de l'Archevêché and Half Moon Shine, just two of the many sculptures of the Heidi Museum of Modern Art. Once a grazing property and dairy farm, Heidi is set in a sculpture park amongst heritage-listed gardens.
Bolin Billabong.
As we approach the western boundary of Manningham, the Bulletin Billabong appears. It is part of a network of billabongs. Giant river redgums create an environment of quiet and stillness. The ponds of water and reeds are sacred to the indigenous Wurundjeri people. Earlier Wurundjeri came together at this spot for several weeks during April and May to celebrate and enjoy the seasonal abundance of eels. Today, changing river flows have impacted the billabong and led to restoration works that are steadily returning the area to its former health.
Bulletin.
Paddling on around a hairpin bend, past Bulletin Park and an archery, the gums and wattles continue to screen encroaching suburbs to provide valuable habitat and solitude. 4, calls a golfer on the 15th at the Freeway Golf Course as the Manningham border turns to follow Coonong Creek and head southward. The Yarra leaves Manningham and continues on through Boroondara, making its way to Port Phillip. Anyone for a paddle?